Sue Songer and Betsy Branch, we were planning to be down at John C. Campbell Folk School in Brasstown, North Carolina this week, but there's been a change of plans for us, like I bet many of you, all of you. So instead of being down in the mountains of North Carolina, we're up at the northern end of those southern mountains. We're up in Vermont here. Peter and I are neighbors in Brattleboro, Vermont, and we're going to be providing a little morning music every morning this week at 9 o'clock, broadcast from Peter's front porch here in Brattleboro, Vermont. And this is a little tradition they have down at the folk school of having music first thing in the morning. It's a great tradition. Before you even get anything more than a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, you're already hearing some music. So I'm going to be sharing some dance tunes from different parts of the northern climes and also sing a couple of songs for you. And I hope you just enjoy it for breakfast. If you hear a little bit of traffic in the background, that's our wonderful I-91 that passes right through Brattleboro and connects us to Quebec to the north and Connecticut and New York to the south. So we're fond of it, even though it kind of roars by Brattleboro. So I'm going to start off with a couple of schottisches that I learned years ago from a wonderful fiddler, Carrie Elkin, and he learned them from some traveling musicians from France. Two schottisches, and they're just a nice, gentle way to start the morning. Thank you very much, Peter. It's great to have a live audience. We have Peter here, and we have my daughter just enjoying the morning air. It's a lovely morning in Brattleboro. It's been very hot here, but it's a little overcast, and we're getting a little respite today from the heat. All right, well, blueberry season is coming in here in New England, and we often go down, well, I would say is once a year often, but we go down to the Benson place in Heath, Massachusetts, where they have an old-fashioned system for collecting large quantities of wild blueberries. I'm talking about coming home with 60 pounds of blueberries to be frozen, to be consumed over the winter. And when we go down there, my family, we always sing songs, and they always know we're coming because we're going to be sitting around singing songs. And we always start off with all of our pie songs. And our real key one, my daughter is smiling because she's thinking of blueberries right now. And our favorite one that we share down there is a song I learned years ago from Fred Park called Blueberry Pie. And it's a waltz, so if you haven't gotten a waltz in yet today there in your kitchen, feel free to join right in. You may boast if you like of your bacon and beans, talk of roast turkey and game. You may sing loud the praises of Boston baked beans, they all may be just what they claim. Roast beef and plum pudding may answer for some, oysters in a stew or a fry. I relish them all, but my favorite delight is a big piece of blueberry pie. For there's nothing like blueberry pie, say I. How I love blueberry pie. Since the time of the flood, there's been nothing so good, so luscious as blueberry pie. 'Twas my favorite luncheon when toddling about, a youngster of 2 years and more. I'd waft up the fragrance that often arose through a crack in the old oven door. As my teeth gently press through the lovely brown crust, and the contents it holds is set free, it sends through my frame a shuddering refrain. It's luscious as luscious can be. For there's nothing like blueberry pie, say I. How I love blueberry pie. Since the time of the flood, there's been nothing so good, so luscious as blueberry pie. A little pie music. I'm now growing older, and I love it still more, and I will till the day that I die. For dinner or supper, there's nothing so good as half of a blueberry pie. There's a girl here who's taken a fancy to me, I can tell by the look in her eye. But the woman I marry must first understand how to bake a good blueberry pie. For there's nothing like blueberry pie, say I. How I love blueberry pie. Since the time of the flood, there's been nothing so good, so luscious as blueberry pie. Now that song would be heavily improved if it had the recipe in it. Maybe I should add another verse that mentions. But my wife actually does make the world's best blueberry pie, and that's not why we got married. But it makes a good line in a song, I suppose, even if it does date it. But you know, dating a folk song is actually part of what folk songs are all about. My shortest definition of a folk song is a politically incorrect song, because these songs have picked up all of the detritus of living, and the ones that just become unsingable, they stop being sung and new songs get written, and it's just a kind of big churning ocean. So if that song was hopelessly binary, well, maybe it won't last but another 20 or 30 years, and then it will be gone too, like so many of the old songs. Anyway, I digress. That's easy to do. Hey, back to dance tunes. Every year we love the Dance Musicians Week. I've only been once. My colleagues have been many, many years. I went down last year to call the dances and to be kind of a backup caller for David Kaner, who I'm always thankful for David. It was a great pleasure to call dances. But we won't be calling dances down there at the folk school this year, but we will be teaching dance tunes this week, 12:30. And Peter, where do people go to find that link if they want to?
Betsy's email. Oh, you know what? I will have that exact email in a minute.
Peter's going to post some stuff on the screen or hand it to me, and before the end of this little morning session of songs and tunes, we'll make sure you know how to find the link. But at 12:30 Eastern Time, each day this week, we'll be teaching a tune and then having a workshop from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and that will happen each day of the week. You can also find information about us this week, I think, on the John C. Campbell Folk School website. Anyway, here's a couple of tunes from Quebec. The first one is a C-suite, a 6/8, which is what they tend to call, what we in New England call a jig, but they call it a C-suite, a 6/8, because that's the time signature. And then I'll go into a little tune called Reel Delavan, which is the reel of the valve, which is a bit of a tribute to the accordion. So here we go. It's Quadrille Bouchard into Reel Delavan. yourselves awake. Real Delavan. All right, well, here's another song. And this song was inspired by the singing of Tony Barron. Tony Barron and John Roberts, I guess I really need to say that inspired by both of them. They have been singing two-part harmony English folk songs for many decades and are still excellent friends of mine. And a number of years ago, Tony was being honored by a big event here in Brattleboro, and a few of us were asked to share a song as a kind of a warm-up to the main act. That was a kind of mini opera written based upon an interview with Tony Barron, Professor Barron. And I was trying to think of the right song to sing at that event, and I just decided, well, I can't quite find the right song, so I'll write one. So I wrote this song called A Man for Every Season, and then later I had a wonderful talk with John Roberts, who said, you know, the nice thing about your song, Andy, is that it never mentions Tony, and it's more general. And John said, it's really, to me, it's about the green man. And in English folklore, the green man is a kind of a symbol of the ever-turning cycle of the seasons, something that anyone who's associated with the folk school will be familiar with, and that whole cycle of maypoles and morris dancing, that whole idea of the year as a cycle of song is what I tried to get through, because Tony knows songs for the spring. John and Tony, I better say that because that's the only diplomatic thing to say. John and Tony sing through the spring, through the summer, through the fall, through the winter, and for many years we took our show Noel Sing We Clear on the road. I think that was a good 40 years. I was only with it for the last 30 years, so I was always called the new guy, even after being in the show for like 20 plus years. And I used to get back on them. I would lean into the mic and say, I don't know, not the new guy, I think the young guy. Those guys have a few years on me, so but you know, razzing one another is just part of being a musician, so get used to it. So anyway, this is my song, A Man for Every Season. You can think of it as being about Tony Barron, wonderful singer, folklorist, or think about John's interpretation, The Green Man. He's a man for every season, pulling the world along, singing songs for any reason. The melody sounds clear and strong. In spring with mud and daffodil, the bells of Norwich ringing still, and dancers find their place by will. Good luck tossed in the fiddler's till. He's a man for every season, pulling the world along, singing songs for any reason. The melody sounds clear and strong. Then summer days without an end, in pub with family, neighbors, friends. This world's a garden we must tend, with music, broken hearts to mend. He's a man for every season, pulling the world along, singing songs for any reason. The melody sounds clear and strong. Then autumn colors, wind and frost, remind us of the times we lost. These ships out on the waters tossed, our shanty man has paid the cost. He's a man for every season, pulling the world along, singing songs for any reason. The melody sounds clear and strong. Then winter's dark, that precious jewel, calls forth the mummers and their fool. with carols feasting, burning Yule. Forgiveness and the poor must rule. He's a man for every season, pulling the world along, singing songs for any reason. The melody sounds clear and strong. Then spring again defeats the mire, and who could blame us leaping higher? This a song is but our heart's desire, and friendship the truest choir. He's a man for every season, pulling the world along, singing songs for any reason. The melody sounds clear and strong. He's a man for every season, pulling the world along, singing songs for any reason. The melody sounds clear and strong. All right.
Make sure my cat doesn't disturb.
Peter's been distracted because his cat is starting to tear the building down. These are the struggles, the foibles of doing musical performance at one's home. I was thinking that usually when we go to dance camp, we all, throw all of our clothes and equipment into a car and we drive off and leave home behind. And it's like a wonderful break. But now with all of this online stuff, we're not only doing all the work of preparing music and, practicing and performing and all that stuff, but we're also at home with our wonderful families and the bills and the lawn to be mowed and shopping and dishwashing, and I don't think I can take much more of this, Peter. Peter's at least 6 feet away over there if you can't see him. Anyway, as I think is very apt, better 6 feet away than 6 feet under. So wear your mask, keep a distance, kind of do your part. A lot of people have sacrificed far more for this nation than what we're being asked to do today to get things under control. So anyway, it's been a real enjoyment for me to sit here on Peter Siegel's porch and sing for you. I've got a medley of dance tunes here, and then after that, maybe just a little reminder of our schedule for the week. And I'm going to ask Peter to join in. He's, as you know, is a accompanist and a songwriter and a dance musician par excellence. I think that's French. I love the French language. They have a different word for everything. It's just amazing. So we're going to play 3 tunes that I associate with the Greenfield Grange Hall. Some of you out there may have danced contras at the Greenfield Grange under the calling of David Kaner or one of the other fine New England callers that call there. And we're going to play a couple of jigs that I think I first learned from David Kaner. The first one is called Northern Lights. Just an exquisite New England tune found in Randy Miller's repertory of New England dance music. And the second one is Aunt May's Canadian Jig. It's an amazing coincidence because the tune is Canadian in origin. So that's great. That's great titling. And then we're going to finish up with a classic tune that we would often end a contra dance set with in the key of A major, Big John McNeil. We're not going to play these tunes as fast as we would at a dance because we don't have to right now.
We haven't had enough coffee yet.
We haven't had enough coffee, and we're just going to enjoy this kind of Vermont morning tempo here, which I think you'll enjoy. So a little bit of the Northern Lights, Aunt May's Canadian Jig, and Big John McNeil.
Keys. So D.
Yes, keys. First one is the key of G. And then we go into the key, ever popular, of D. And we finish up in the key of A. So, here we go. together. Key of D. Let's do this one again. It's too good. Key of A. One more. Take her home.
Yeah,
Peter, that was fun.
that was really fun.
So we hope you'll join us again tomorrow at 9 o'clock for a little breakfast music. Peter will be leading tomorrow at 9, and then today, starting Eastern Time, 12:30, 9:30 a.m. for our West Coast friends, we'll have a daily tune that we will teach. Nice, going over it nice and slow, so you can learn a tune each day this week at 12:30, and then at 1 o'clock there'll be a workshop that goes into a little more depth on a few tunes that we will learn throughout the week, and then we'll have some special things happening at the end of the week. Peter, anything else you need to say?
I don't think so, but make sure I put the Betsy's email up on there. But you can also Facebook message me or Peter A. Siegel, Siegel, at gmail.com to get information about the workshop if you want to join. Because all you need is the link for the Zoom. And then also, I don't know if you just mentioned this, but we have a concert at the end of the week,
I did not mention that.
which will feature, in some form, David Kaner, in fact.
It'll be Betsy and Sue and Peter and I, and we have some wonderful, we've woven in some performances by David Kaner that through the magic of technology, we're joining in with him, and which makes us all very happy with that thought.
It's a bi-coastal concert, and it's 7 p.m., and it's not going to be in this format. It's going to be a Zoom through the John C. Campbell Folk School. So that's important thing to note, because if you want to attend, you just need a Zoom link, just like you will for the workshops.
And if you don't know much about the John C. Campbell Folk School, this is a good reason this week to go to their website. It's in Brasstown, North Carolina, and it's a place that someday you will want to go.
Yes. All right. Well, goodbye, everyone. You keep saying goodbye while I
All right.
get ready.
Thanks a lot. I think it's time for breakfast.